UFC 328 goes down this Saturday with 2 title fights on the line. Let's break down the main card. So hopefully you can win money. And I can win money because I actually bet these picks. So if you lose, guess what? So did I. First fight of the night is gross. And normally this would have been a situation during the old format where I would have went on a rant about paying $80 to see 2 journeyman fighters kick off a pay-per-view card. And I would have been pissed off about it. But with the new Paramount Plus deal, that's not an issue. So I don't get mad when I see Bobby King Green taking on Jeremy Stephens. A fight that literally no one is asking for. It is just mere filler. But with that said, I do think that Bobby Green is going to win this one. Jeremy Stephens has a tendency to just get in brawls. He's coming from BKFC. He is famous for the clip of Conor McGregor saying, "Who the fuck is this guy?" But what is often forgotten in that clip that went viral is Jeremy Stephens saying, I'm the hardest hitting 145er. I put people to sleep. He truly thinks that. Like, he thinks he can get into these brawls and he can win. And because of that, I don't really see a full mixed martial artist when it comes to Jeremy Stephens, especially coming from BKFC. He comes from that organization where it is just brawls. You're expecting a brawl. I might end up picking him. If this fight were at 145, it's not. It's at 155. Bobby Green's natural weight class. Because of that, I'm going to pick Bobby. I think he's more well-rounded. I don't think that Jeremy Stephens' power is going to translate at 155. Not to say he can't do damage on Bobby Green. We've seen Bobby Green get knocked out before, but I just don't see it happening in this particular fight. I could end up seeing this fight end up, I could see it being a decent fight, like a decent scrap, that you sit back and you go like, wow, I was pleasantly surprised with that, because these two guys do end up going out and putting on a show, usually, good or bad for either side. So yeah, I could see a world where this isn't the worst fight on the card. It's as I said, it's a filler fight where you're getting no new information. Neither of these guys are going to do much in the organization. They're not at this point clamoring for, they're clamoring for it, but no one is clamoring to see them fight anymore, and neither of them are in title implications. So this is, as I said, just filler. Let's move on to the next fight. This actually is title implication. You've got Waldo Cortez Acosta going up against Alexander Volkanovski. Alexander Volkov. Not even close. Hit thumbs down for that. Smash that thumbs down. I am comparing a 145er to a heavyweight. That's how much I don't know ball. Cue the casual comments in the comment section. This is how bad, though, the heavyweight division is, because it is so thin and shallow that Waldo Cortez Acosta and a guy like Josh Hokett are seen as a possible savior for the division, that Alexander Volkov is probably one win away from a legitimate argument to make a title shot, where he is a journeyman. He is a journeyman gatekeeper. It was often looked at as Volkov is a guy where if you beat him, you are now in title contention. But if you don't, you're probably going back to the drawing board and you got to build yourself back up. But he's on a win streak. And he's mainly on a win streak because of the fact that it has been so thin and shallow at the division that, yeah, a guy like Volkov, who does have skill, he does have power, he is a decent mixed martial artist, he can rack up some wins because of the fact that it's just a bad, flat-out bad division. On the flip side, you've got WCA, who took the world by storm last year, knocking out just about everybody, embarrassing Derek Lewis. So you've got a decent matchup here, and I don't think I'm hiding anything when I say that I think the UFC is really hoping that Waldo Cortez Acosta goes out there and puts on a show. Because a fight like, let's just say, Cyril Gane versus Volkov headlining, and that's, unfortunately, we are in a world where the UFC want to go, this is a gross matchup, we'll make it a co-main event. The heavyweight title will always be the main event. That is an absolutely disgusting disgusting card. And that'll be a card, if it were to happen, where an Alexander Volkov title fight you're going to be looking more towards the co-main event. Because it's just going to be a fight that no one's signing up for. It's much like Diego Lopez versus the guy I messed up with earlier, Volkanovski, where you're like, all right, I've seen the fight. I didn't ask for this. I mean, I'll watch it, but like, what's the co-main event? And I think that if Alexander Volkov were to win, yeah, he's going to want a title shot, and he deserves it. I mean, you look at the last couple wins that he's had here, and I'm just going off of his Tapology here. Jairzinho Rozenstruik, which I never saw the fascination with Jairzinho Rozenstruik. I think the guy made his career off one jab that split open. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on his name. Alistair Overeem, in a fight that he was getting worked in. And other than that, like, he's gotten absolutely destroyed in a lot of his fights. And then, so he follows it up with Alexander Romanov. Two guys that I don't think Romanov is still in the UFC. I know Rozenstruik isn't, but I think that Romanov, who at that point was on a run, I don't think he's still in the UFC, especially considering the last couple fights he had. He just looked like he didn't want to be there. And then he fights Tai Tuivasa, who is on like the 27-fight losing streak, but he'll continue to keep his job because, as I talked about in one of my other fight card previews, these New Zealand and Australian guys will continue to be hired, like Jamie Malarkeys of the world, even though they suck, because when the UFC goes to Perth, they need to fill it with local guys, and that makes them attractive. All right, so that three right there, Tai Tuivasa, Alexander Romanov, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, haven't aged well, but at the time, it was looked at as like, oh, this is impressive. Sergey Pavlovich, to me, was a very, very, very good win. Then he follows it up with losing to Cyril Gane. The reality is, like, no one thought that he lost that fight other than the judges. So, and I was a guy that benefited from the judges giving it to Cyril Gane. So if Cyril Gane ends up winning the belt, that's a really, I'm not saying it's a fight I want to see, but at least you can make a storyline there of, can he end up righting the wrong of the judges? He ends up getting a fight after that with Jailton Almeida. Again, it was a split decision, but Jailton Almeida is a really, really good heavyweight, and his last fight was against Evgeny Gonchar. I don't remember that fight at all. I'm not even going to lie to you. So you look at Waldo Cortez Acosta, who I think had 4 or 5 wins last year, and he comes in. The UFC is absolutely hoping that he can end up going out there and just starching Alexander Volkov and winning this fight. I don't think this fight is going to go to a decision, although it seems like every time I say that about a heavyweight fight, it ends up going to a decision. But Waldo Cortez Acosta did, he was really impressive to me in his last fight, because the way he beat Derek Lewis, and this is Derek Lewis not fighting in Houston. If you're not aware, Derek Lewis is from Houston. He always sucks in Houston. Fight wasn't in Houston. And Waldo Cortez Acosta, I believe on short notice too, goes out there and put Derek Lewis out. Weird fight in the sense of, like, Derek Lewis proceeded to just get on the ground, and it seemed like he accepted, I'm going to get pummeled. It was very weird in that sense, but you got to give credit to Waldo Cortez Acosta, who went in there, I believe, on short notice and did the damn thing. So while I think that the UFC is praying to God that he goes out there and puts himself, and then maybe Josh Hogan goes out there and beats Derek Lewis, and then you at least have 2 younger guys that you can kind of match up, possibly, or at least put them in the heavyweight division and save the heavyweight division as a way for Tom Aspinall. All of that is to say, I do think that Waldo Cortez Acosta is going to go out there and win this fight. I think the one thing that hurts Waldo Cortez Acosta, though, is the fact that we have seen Alexander Volkov win in just about every way, and he does have the veteran, the experience and whatnot, but I still think that Waldo Cortez Acosta, his striking is at a level where I'm expecting him to once again put on a show. Really long way to break down a heavyweight fight that I'm not really looking forward to. Oh my God, I completely skipped. I went from the 5th fight to the 3rd fight, so I have to go back to the 4th fight. Local guy, Sean Brady, looking to get back in the win column, going up against Joaquin Buckley. Sean Brady lost last time out against Michael Morales in a fight that I thought that Sean Brady would win. And then as soon as they got in the octagon and you saw the size of Michael Morales, I turned to my buddy and said, this was a mistake by me. Because he was just so much bigger. But in this instance, Joaquin Buckley is built like a tank. Like, he is just one big muscle. But I think what's going to benefit Sean Brady in this fight is the fact that his gas tank and his wrestling ability is, I think, going to be too much for Buckley. I never thought he would be here. When I first watched Joaquin Buckley, and he actually had a really good first fight in the UFC when he fought Kevin Holland, and he impressed me a lot, but I never thought, like, this is a guy who's seriously going to be a possible top 5 fighter in the division, and he's here. He has progressed. He has improved his game. I just think that Sean Brady is better. Maybe not striking-wise, but that's probably never going to be Sean Brady's game. But Sean Brady, I think, is going to get this fight to the cage, eventually get it to the ground. I don't think this is going to be the most exciting fight, flat out. I think Sean Brady's going to wrestle fuck him. But I think that once he picks up Buckley's timing and he is going to be able to dip and get in on a single leg and take him down, I don't see Buckley being able to really get up. I mean, I think if initially at first he'll be able to get up and maybe he'll stuff a takedown or two, but the relentless nature of Sean Brady going at him, I think it's going to be way too much for him. I think it's going to be a boring fight, like flat out. But I think at the end of it, Sean Brady is going to end up winning and getting back in the win column. All right, now we get to the co-main event of the night. We have Joshua Van on his first title defense against Tatsuro Taira. I love this fight because I love the flyweight division. I think the flyweight division is probably the most underrated in mixed martial arts. The guys always put on a show. I don't expect this one to be any different. Obviously, I would have loved for Joshua Van to rematch against Pantoja, but Pantoja's still battling the arm injury. This fight was pushed back from the last pay-per-view to this pay-per-view. Unfortunately, we didn't learn anything about Joshua Van from his last fight out because we had that fluke injury to Alexander Pantoja. And because of that, I think I got to go with Tatsuro Taira. Only because of the experience level. Joshua Van is still very, very green in the sport. Still very young, very, very good. I mean, his striking is elite. But is he a well-rounded mixed martial artist like Tatsuro Taira? I think the big thing is we're going to learn a lot when Tatsuro Taira gets clipped. When he gets clipped, because it's going to happen. When Joshua Van figures out the distance, figures out the timing, and starts letting the hands go, can Tatsuro Taira, can he weather that storm and eventually get this to the ground and make Joshua Van dragging him into deep waters? Like, I think the experience level, I'm literally just picking on that. Because there's a world where, I mean, Joshua Van goes out there and runs through him. I mean, Joshua Van's been doing that in the UFC. I picked Alexander Pantoja against Joshua Van. I want to see that fight very, very badly because I think the two match up extremely well against each other. Like, it's going to be a very interesting fight in terms of the styles. But unfortunately, like, I learned nothing from Joshua Van in his last fight. And this isn't against Joshua Van, like, but he's been running through guys so much that I need to see him in a 5-round fight. Like, I need to see him and his gas tank in round 4. And with Tatsuro Taira, like, he's been a champion in other organizations and, like, high-level organizations. So because of that, I'm going to pick Tatsuro Taira. Don't feel great about it because of the fact that we didn't learn anything in his last fight with Joshua Van, but I'm going on strictly experience on that one. And we'll see if Taira can weather the power of Joshua Van, which is very, very elite. And then finally, the last fight of the night, Sean Strickland taking on Khamzat Chimaev. Kind of like how I talked about the Volkov fight, where, like, if Volkov were to win and he gets a title shot, like, is anybody really pumped for that? Is anybody really pumped for Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland? Like, show of hands. Because I feel like at this point in his career, Sean Strickland is the guy that's like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to die. And then, like, he just curls up in his Philly shell and, you know, doesn't really put anybody out. And I'm not saying he's a boring fighter, but he's not like somebody I'm clamoring to see. Whereas Khamzat breaks jaws. And while that is exciting in a lot of ways, it just seems like this is pacing up to be one-way traffic. Look, give credit to where credit's due. Like, Sean Strickland's takedown defense is actually really, really good. But is anyone's takedown defense good against Khamzat? At least in the first 3 rounds? Like, I think the best we've probably seen might be Kamaru Usman, who's, was like on the Olympic watch list for the U.S. Olympic team. And I think that that's probably the one fight that we look back on and we go, okay, like if that were to go to 2 more rounds because of the fact that Khamzat was gassed, maybe we see an interesting situation there happen. It was a 3-round fight. The tide was turning in that one, but again, it was a 3-round fight. Other than that, Khamzat has done to just about everybody the same thing. He has run through them quickly. Robert Whitaker, I mean, like I thought Robert Whitaker would last a round, and then boom, jaw broken. Now, for Strickland, you go, okay, the last time he was a huge underdog, it was Izzy, and look what happened. I think it's a different situation, though, because both those guys were stand-up fighters. Both those guys were strikers. Izzy is a counter-puncher, and Eric Nicksick had the perfect game plan for Sean Strickland in that fight, to the point where Izzy told Sean Strickland, like, bro, your coach saved you. Like, he was yelling out what I was about to do. And then you had Sean Strickland actually listening. Sean Strickland has shown an ability in the past, since winning that Izzy fight, to not listen to the game plan, to completely tune out Eric Nicksick, to the point where Eric Nicksick was like, I don't know if I want to work with this guy anymore because he's not listening to my tutelage. I don't even think it matters in this fight. I think Khamzat's going to go out there, he's going to ragdoll him, and he's going to finish his fight super, super early. There's been a lot of bad blood in this fight for what Sean Strickland has said. Obviously, there was like a kick at like the weigh-ins or whatever, but like I think at the end of the day, Khamzat's going to do exactly what Khamzat's done to everybody, and that is one-way traffic. If it was a striking contest like the Izzy fight, I might be inclined to go, okay, I can see a world. I can't see a world where Sean Strickland ends up winning this fight. He is a boxer with little power. Look, he could knock me out, no problem. I mean, I'm a flyweight. I'm weighing in at 147. That's not the point. But in terms of people in his division, he's not really putting people out. And when he does, it's like he catches them, he stuns them, he swarms them, and it's a TKO. It's not like a KO situation. Is Khamzat going to get TKO'd? I think Sean Strickland's best, his best route to a victory in this one is simply to hope to God that his takedown defense holds up, to tire out Khamzat because the weight cut is large. It is going to take its toll because it always takes its toll. And then to maybe turn the tides in round 3, 4, and 5. But even then, the idea that Khamzat would not be able to get Sean Strickland down and keep him down in those rounds, 1, 2, 3, I don't see it happening. So there you go. To recap, I like Bobby Green in the first fight. I like Sean Brady in the second fight. I like Waldo Cortez Acosta in the third fight. I like Tatsuro Taira in the co-main event. And then the main event, I like Khamzat Chimaev to get the finish. As far as the prelims go, quickly, I mean, it wasn't great. Like, there are names on there, like Roman Kopylov, but, like, not really interesting matchups. I think the best one that I saw, honestly, was Pat Sabatini versus William Gomez. I'm just a big Pat Sabatini fan. Like, the guy's grappling and his BJJ is super legit. I think he ends up getting a finish in this one. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's not like an incredible undercard. It's an undercard, though, that I'll say you watch it because you're probably going to end up seeing some guys put on a really good performance that you'll be able to go, okay, like next time I'm looking forward to their fight. Because it's not a lot of name recognition on this fight, on this undercard, but there are some guys there that are intriguing at least, but they're not exactly going to be like, oh yeah, like I remember his last fight because his last fight might have been in the Contender Series. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. As far as comments go, I'm only going to respond to channel members, so become a channel member. It costs like $1.99. Help support the channel, which is me. And hit thumbs up, hit thumbs down. You guys know where those buttons are. Subscribing is cool. Hopefully this helped you and we can all bet and win and we'll all be rich. And if not, then, I lost money too. Okay, goodbye.